up, guys? I got a question today from a high school player, and he's telling me that he's not picking up the ball as well as he wants to out of the pitcher's hand, and he wanted to know if there were some ways that I could help him to pick it up better. Now, there's a few ways that I think I can kind of help out, and there's a few things I want to kind of dispel a couple of myths that you guys might have heard from coaches in the past that I don't really think work, and I actually think kind of hinder your ability to pick up the ball better. So first, things that I think I can help you get better at. The first thing to do is it's all about how we're focusing on the pitcher. We call it going from a soft to hard focus. So all you want to do is when you're looking out at the mound, you want to know where the ball's coming from. So you already know his release point, what type of pitcher he is, whether he throws, over the top, a high 3/4, a 3/4, a sidearm, a submarine, however he throws it, you already know this. So the next thing to do is when we're looking out there and the pitcher starts to go through our windup, we want to have a soft focus on him. We don't want to stare in on the release point too long. Our eyes can only really stare at something for a certain amount of time, only a couple of seconds before they get tired, and we're not going to be able to pick up the ball as well as we want to. So what we want to do is we look out there in a soft focus, the pitcher goes into his windup, when he does his leg kick and he breaks his hands, now we move over to a hard focus where we're looking into that release point to pick up the ball. That's going to give us our best chance to see the ball. I know a lot of people and a lot of coaches will tell their players to stare at the brim of the cap, or stare at the pitcher's nose, or stare at something, and then move over. And the only problem with this that I think is if we're staring at the pitcher's hat, and we're staring at it for 10 seconds, and say he's just standing there looking in, shaking off pitches, and we're staring and staring, and now it's time to go over here and stare at that, we're too tired. Our eyes can't be staring at stuff for that long. So we want a soft focus and then transition over to the hard focus on the release point. That's the first thing we need to do. The second thing is we need to develop a rhythm. A lot of guys I see, especially when they're struggling and when they don't feel like they're seeing the ball as clear, they stop doing everything. They just stand there like a statue and they stare at the release point, and they want to do anything they can to try to help themselves see the ball better. Now, I think this is kind of working against us. As a hitter, we need rhythm. We need to be able to move. Once we get stiff, or once we try too hard and our muscles get tight, that's when things don't work as well. Slow muscles are tight muscles, so if your muscle's tight, it's going to be slower. Loose muscles are going to be faster muscles. They're going to be able to move like that, and that's how we need to swing. We really can't force things to happen in the swing. So once we get tight, now we're going to have to start trying to force movements, force our elbow to drop in, force our lower half to rotate the right way. We just want to let it happen, so we can't force it, and the tighter we get, the more we're going to force it. It's just going to backfire. So the most important thing is to stay relaxed, stay loose. Don't get tight because we're not seeing the ball well. That's gonna hurt us. The third thing that we need to do is start earlier. Now, a lot of times you'll hear coaches say, get your front foot down earlier. And this is totally different. I think getting your foot down earlier hurts you more than helps you. If you look at major league swings, one of the biggest misconceptions about major leaguers, and if you watch ESPN, they'll always say it, he's hitting great because he's getting that front foot down early. Big league hitters, especially good hitters, they don't get their foot down early. If you get it down too early, all it does is stop everything. It stops your momentum, it stops your transfer, it stops your rhythm. Big league hitters don't hit by getting down and sitting there and waiting for the ball and then starting again. That's going to be really difficult. Big league hitters, they're taught that they have such good timing and rhythm that they know how to sync it up with the pitcher so that when their front foot lands and boom, that heel comes down, they're starting to go. They don't land, sit there, and then hit. And when I go to Little League games in high school and college, and I hear coaches saying, get your front foot down early, and then a player's struggling, and I'll watch his video, one of the main things that always happens is you'll see him. He'll start his move, and he'll get his front foot down, and he's down before the ball's even coming close to release. Now he's stopped. Now you have to start again. It's really tough. There's a scientist, maybe it was Newton, I'm not really sure exactly who it was. I wish I did. I'm not that smart, I guess. But he said that an object that is in motion tends to stay in motion, and an object at rest will stay at rest. And that's kind of what we're talking about here. If we're sitting there quiet, it's tougher to get it going. If we're loose and we've got some flow and we're not down too early, we'll be able to do some stuff. Once we get our front foot down, the body is supposed to start the swing. So we can't get our front foot down, sit there, and then go. It's not going to happen. What I'm talking about is starting earlier, not getting our front foot down earlier. So what I mean by starting earlier is we need to get into a rhythm and into a flow and get ready. But it's not that we're starting our swing earlier. We're just getting ready, and it's pretty much anticipating. So as the pitcher goes up and as he has his leg kick and he shows you his backside with his leg, that's when we're going to start rocking and getting loaded and start moving some of that weight to our backside so that we can transfer it back to the front side and swing. We don't want to just sit there like this and now all of a sudden the ball's coming and we're swinging. That's way too late. We can't go from stop to start. We need to get some rhythm, get that going back, get loaded, get ready on time. The fourth thing is just an approach. It's a mental approach, but you'd be surprised at how big this is. And great hitters do it. And guys that aren't hitting well, especially when you're struggling, this is probably the biggest thing. And we just call it a yes, 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 no approach. So when we're hitting, we need to think and anticipate that every pitch is going to be right in our zone and we're going to hit it. What this is going to do is it's going to get us ready earlier, but it's also going to get us into a aggressive mindset. It's a lot easier to say this. We're up at the plate and we think we're getting a strike, and here comes the pitcher and he throws it and we're thinking yes, 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 yes. No. That's a lot easier to do than to think the other way and think it's got to be perfect, it's got to be right here all the time, and thinking no, 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 and here comes the ball and it's traveling at 90 miles an hour, and once you get older it's starting to come at 95 miles an hour and we're thinking no, 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 oh, that's a strike. You got a hit? Impossible. You'll never ever be able to do it. Things happen way too quick. So we got to think yes, 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 no. It's easy to put the brakes on. It's hard to start it up after we're thinking, no, 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 oh, yes. That's the biggest problem that I see with guys that aren't seeing the ball well. Because once you think you're not seeing the ball well, now subconsciously in our mind we start thinking, all right, well, let's really see this ball. And I'm all for, letting the ball travel and all that stuff, but you can't, once you start struggling, you can't think, I need to make this perfect and I need to really see this ball into the mitt and I got to it's not going to happen unless a guy's throwing 40 miles an hour, which nobody's going to be throwing. You're facing guys, if you're in high school, like you said, it depends where you're playing, but guys are going to be throwing 80, 85, maybe the good ones are going to throw 90. Once you get to college, guys are going to be throwing high 80s, 90s. Some guys get up 95. Some guys get up even to the high 90s. You'll never be able to hit if you're not anticipating a good pitch in your zone and saying yes, yes, yes. No. That's the biggest thing that I see with guys that are struggling. So those are the four things. I can't really go back over them because it took forever. It's a long video. I'm sorry that it took forever. But hopefully you know what I'm talking about. You use these four things. I think it's going to help you pick up the ball better. And the biggest thing, if I could leave you with one thing, is be aggressive. When you're struggling, don't get tentative up there, because that's when everything's going to get out of whack. I don't care if you're 0 for your last 1,000. In your mind, you have to think, I'm aggressive and I want to swing the bat. I'm not looking for walks. I'm not trying to be perfect. I want to get a good pitch to hit. I'm going to put my bat on it and I'm going to swing and let everything else happen. Whatever happens, happens. But be aggressive. Never lose your aggressiveness or you're going to be in big trouble. All right? Hope this helps. Thanks for your question. Keep sending them in. Thanks, guys.